everybody, I'm Dennis Daly. I spent 20 years with United Press International, most of it with the old UPI Radio Network. And my favorite assignment was going on the road producing and hosting American Montage. It was an hour-long weekly program. Now here's an edited version of one of those shows.
Do that, do that. Do that day. The Captain Major sing the song. Do that.
The music of Stephen Foster, and when you think of Stephen Foster, you have to think of my old Kentucky home in Bardstown, Kentucky. This week on American Montage, we're on the road again in one of the most beautiful, quaint cities I think I've ever visited. I grew up about 2 hours north of Bardstown in southern Indiana, but didn't get there until I decided to take you along with me. Our hostess at my old Kentucky home is a gracious lady named Dixie Hibbs. She says a lot of people are discovering the Stephen Foster area, the play, the pageant, and my old Kentucky home for the first time.
We have people who come from all over the world to see my old Kentucky home and the Stephen Foster story, which is the musical drama you were referring to. And they are amazed at how beautiful, the natural beauty as well as all of the history and heritage we have here that we enjoy year-round. It's not the performance of the musical that depicts Stephen Foster's life and his courtship of Jeannie and his songwriting career. It's been going on since 1959. And it is one of the top 5 outdoor musical dramas in the United States. So we've had thousands and thousands and thousands of people who've come to enjoy that. But they got here and said, oh, look, what a great town, and look at these wonderful old buildings and architecture and activities that they could do. And so they not only stayed an extra day, they came back and brought their friends.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous part of the world. It's interesting you said that he courted Jeannie. It's nice to know there actually was a Jeannie with the light brown hair.
There was not only a Jeannie, her name was Jane, and like many times we have nicknames or shortening of the name, so he referred to her as Jeannie and wrote a song about her. And the song, the presentation, the musical drama was written by Paul Green, who is a noted author of outdoor dramas and has been very popular and very the music and the color and everything that's going on. That's one of the best things about the drama. It appeals to every age, and men enjoy it. I always say that with a tongue-in-cheek, there's a sexist remark right there, but the men enjoy it because they like to watch how it's produced, the moving of the scenery and the houses and things of this sort. And then, too, it brings back memories of their youth when they learned Camptown Races when they were in school, and Oh, Susanna, and all the songs that are folklore here of America.
One of the things about Stephen Foster's songs that I think makes them so endearing is to depart for a half second. I remember I'd been in my teens, and I finally came to the realization that Old Man River was not a Negro work song, that Jerome Kern had written it. And I thought, you can't write a song like that. But so many of the things Stephen Foster wrote, which we kind of assumed were part of the country or were always there, came from his pen. I mean, he just played an enormous part in the popular music of the era. When was he in his heyday? When was he writing?
The majority of his writing was done in the late 40s, early 50s.
You're talking about
1800,
yeah.
Yes, 1800. When you're here in Bardstown, when I start talking about the past, I'm usually a century or two behind. It's not like last week, it's last century. But Stephen Foster was a native of Pennsylvania, and he didn't live in Kentucky. He didn't live in the South. He actually did most of his writing and living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He was a cousin to the John Rowan family here in Bardstown, and that's why the song, My Old Kentucky Home, was written not about his own home, but about his cousin's plantation in Kentucky. Now, Foster worked down on the waterfront in Pittsburgh, and he was exposed, I guess is the best word, to a lot of the melodies that the black workers, the steamboat workers, and the bringing the supplies and the cotton and everything up and down the river. And he heard the singing and the words and the melodies, and that lodged in his brain. He was a very imaginative, creative man, and his songs are a result of everything that he was exposed to from the time he was a little boy, when he first started hearing about the Rowan plantation or Cousin John's farm and what they did here for hospitality, and until as a young man he would hear about southern rivers and southern activities and Camptown races. I mean, horse racing in the South run neck and neck, so to speak. There's a phrase in the drama that they say that Foster shed songs like dogs shed fleas, and it was very easy for him to write. It's like an artist, it's very easy for them to paint. And in this creative mode and movements, they aren't as business-minded as other people. They're not into balancing the books and making sure the bills are paid. They're into creation. And he was a typical artist or a typical professional that way. He wasn't so worried about where the money was going to come to pay for the next meal. It was, let's get this phrase right, or I need a word for this to rhyme, or I need the melody. And so that's my memory of, or my reaction to Stephen Foster, was a very talented man who needed a keeper.
Did he reach popularity in his own lifetime? Was he recognized, or was all of this, as so often happens, after someone's death?
His songs were being sung during his lifetime, and he got the recognition, or he had the satisfaction experience of having heard his songs being used in the minstrels of the day. Money-wise, he did not achieve great income from that, but later on, his family would continue to get royalties from his songs. So he did financially, he did receive some compensation there, but having his songs sung and appreciated by the general public really was his payoff, or what. But again, his matter of death, you mentioned earlier, he died in New York. He died as a result of having fallen, and we think about fallen now, but he actually fell in the cold, was injured, and died of pneumonia. There's some thought that his drinking caused him to fall, and at that time, a lot of people, after a meal, or they would go to the saloons for a meal. You got a free meal if you'd bought a drink, so to speak. And he was living in New York in the Bowery area, and I think it was a combination of not taking care of himself, falling down in the cold, developing pneumonia, and dying. But died a young man. If he had not died at that age, there's no telling how many songs he would write.
One of the questions I consistently ask people is, what is the reaction of people who come here, not just from the U.S., but, for example, foreign visitors? Do you find that, if not the name, the songs are pretty well known around the world?
Well, our first exposure, or the thing that brings people here first, is the idea of My Old Kentucky Home. I'd like to see what the song was about, or is there really an Old Kentucky home? And quite often people have in their minds it's a log cabin, because he talks about young folks rolling on the old cabin floor. Well, he's talking about the slave cabins or the plantation cabins in the back. This house is a federal-style mansion, solid brick, built between 1800 and 1818. It's very elegantly furnished with family furnishings. Over 75% of the furnishings inside came from the family. It has been restored and redecorated to represent the 1820 to 1840 period. So, and Foster would write this song in 1852, and which became the state song of Kentucky in the early 1930s. So when they come to visit, they want to see My Old Kentucky Home. Well, when they get here, the reaction I get from my tourists and my visitors, and they're both kinds. Visitors are those people who come and come back. Tourists are those people who are going through. They react to the people, the smiles that we give them, the help that we give them, the welcome that is here.
I can tell you love this place.
Yes, I do.
Dixie, thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Come see us.
And there you have it, another edited episode of one of the American Montage programs prepared for the UPI Radio Network back in the 1980s and 90s. I'm Dennis Daly. Thanks for listening. Thanks for going with me this week. And check YouTube for more American Montage programs.